she's highlighting in terms of how is it that I can progress spiritually. So I'm going to read a little bit of it, and then we'll go into a bit of an explanation, expansion, discussion, and see what insights you receive. And as you listen, just see how it applies to yourself in where you are at and where are the shifts that you can create. So she talks about it as there is benefit for you in every situation. If that is, you know how to look for it. The idea behind steady spiritual progress is to see every circumstance and situation, particularly those that challenge you, as a tailor-made lesson in your personal plan for self-development. So I think this is such an invaluable pearl of wisdom that she's sharing. And it's interesting because just on Sunday, this is something that we were reviewing it. How can I see every situation as something that brings benefit? And it's not always easy, you know, and as Study's saying, especially those that challenge you. When things are going well, when you're in a good space, everything is calm and peaceful, then it's easy to see the benefit in everything. But I think the challenge, not so much the challenge, but rather the effort or the resilience that I need comes to be able to find the benefit, to find the lesson, to find the gift in even those moments that seem somewhat challenging. I was reminded of something Brother Atam Prakash mentioned in one of his classes when I was in India a few months back. And he was talking about the relationship of mother. And so he asked, how many mothers do we have? And he had a whole list of them, God being one of them. And the one he spoke about was drama. And he was saying how within the word drama, there's ma, M-A, mother, you know? And so when we look at the mother holds the energy of love, of nurture, of sustenance, of benevolence on some level, because she wants what's best for you. And deep levels of compassion and acceptance. And so I was thinking about it, that if I have to create a relationship that drama is my mother, then internally it helps me to create a shift, that I look at every situation, every scene through the lens or through this eye of benefit, of benevolence, of support. And so it does require digging a little deeper than what we see only on the surface, because I think we can agree that if we just had to look at the world as it is and the many, many challenges that we face on a daily basis, some of them small, some of them big, some of them unexpected, and they just happen suddenly, it's not always easy to see benefit or to see some lesson. So it does require, I think, for me to approach it firstly with this attitude or this vision of inquiry. What is it that I can draw from this situation? What is it that I can learn from this situation? And use that as a basis to move away from the apparent discomfort, difficulty, challenge to a different kind of focus. And I think in doing that, we come to a place of looking at the opportunities rather than what went wrong and what was the difficulty in there. So I'm going to just continue reading because she shares a lovely example, which I think we all can relate to, because we would have all experienced this at some point, and perhaps we still do experience it. So she gives an example. In a situation where hurtful or angry words were exchanged, why not see it as the chance either to perceive things about your own character which need changing, or to rehearse some virtue or quality that you need to put into practice more often? Actually, we should be grateful for the opportunity to evaluate ourselves. So it's such a lovely, again, approach, especially in my relationships, because I do feel that most of our challenges come within relationships. You know, someone said something, they've done something, they didn't do something in the way it's supposed to. And so it creates a lot of feelings internally. And then we come into judgment as well. And then it just creates a rippling effect. And usually this web of thoughts and feelings that we create, which is really very expensive. And one of the things that I've come to just notice in myself, that when I go into expansion, I lose focus, one, but secondly, I also lose power. And so because I'm so externally focused, I forget, what is it that I need to do in this moment? What is it that I want to hold the focus on for myself? And so this process, when I'm challenged in any way, specifically in relationships, perhaps in this context, then instead of blaming, finding reason, finding fault, finding justification, I use it as an opportunity to gauge, what is it that I need to shift within myself? And I think we all can agree that the only thing that I really can transform is myself. That yes, I can influence perhaps externally, but I can't always change things. And so sometimes we invest so much time and energy in trying to fix someone, make someone the way we want them to. And it's futile in most instances. But when I bring the focus back to myself and look deeper and ask myself certain questions, why is this affecting me? What is it that perhaps I'm holding on to as an expectation? What is it that I'm attached to? Some of these things help to bring myself to a point of focus so that I can recognize what is being triggered within myself. And when I'm able to identify that, then there's a capacity to move out of it. And so it requires, I feel, to some extent, to become introspective, to hold this feeling, this attitude, this intention of wanting to shift my inner space so that I don't feel the discomfort or the sorrow or the pain of what someone may have said or done. So I keep myself spiritually healthy in that way. And so looking at it as, what has this one come to show me? What have they brought to me as a gift? And like I mentioned earlier, it does require a little bit of digging within the self. But there's also something else that we need that will support this process. And so Dari continues in her book. She says, when we do create this process and we create this focus, then in this way you can transform anything into a constructive lesson. Never think that you've learned enough and now can stop. You should love it when people try to correct you or give you advice. I think that's a tough one most of the time. We tend to become very defensive when we are criticized or corrected in any way. And it's just an indication that there's ego there and I'm not willing to learn. So when I recognize it, then I just relax a little bit and I listen and I try to take the correction and then work it out for myself. So she said, you should love it, not even like it or accept it, but you should love it. When people try to correct you or give you advice, it keeps you alert and gives you plenty of opportunity to put your truth into practice. It's a sign of great danger to be unable to accept criticism and instead use your understanding to criticize others. Realize deeply the significance of every moment, and your spiritual progress will be assured. And so just this last little paragraph, and Daddy was really a prime example of being a student, of being one who learned from every situation, from every individual, even though she was so advanced in terms of her spiritual understanding, she never stopped studying. And I remember, I think Sister Jane T sharing, many of the seniors that spent time with her, whenever Daddy had a free moment or some time, you'd never see her sitting idly. She'll always pick up something to deepen her understanding, her awareness, to reflect deeply on. And that practice then supports one in the face of challenges and these difficult relationships, and creating almost an attitude of learning. Because then the focus is really about, I want to grow, I want to evolve, I want to move forward. The focus is not then on what happened, what went wrong, it shouldn't be like this. And automatically then I feel we tap into the resources that we've been accumulating over time. But I just wanted to touch on also this idea of being able to accept criticism. I do think one requires immense amounts of humility. And we know that humility is very much connected to self-respect. The reason why we perhaps feel insulted or criticized or we become defensive is because we internally don't feel secure of ourselves, our worth, our value, our capacity. And so it's almost like in that moment, I'm being influenced by someone or something. And I hand over my power. So my sense of self-respect lies very much deeply in the awareness that I am a spiritual being, that I am a soul, and I hold these qualities of peace, love, power, purity, of happiness, of joy, of contentment. And it's through my connection with the Supreme, with the Divine, that gives me my sense of worth and value. And so when I bring these into my awareness, then it draws a capacity, an inner capacity that keeps me open to criticism. And I don't look at it as criticism. I then look at it as, okay, there's something in me that I can't see. Usually we're the last ones to be able to recognize our weaknesses, our, what I like to call Achilles heel. And usually others can see it because they almost detached, or there's distance from the situation or from the emotions or the sanskaras that I have within myself. And so it just requires sometimes taking a moment, stopping, centering myself, and then opening myself to say, okay, what's the gift? What's the lesson? What's the opportunity that this is providing me with? And it's so beautiful because instead of that interaction creating animosity, creating difficulty, creating, little tension, and it doesn't have to be big things, small little things. It emerges from the self, deep, deep feelings of gratitude, which then just creates a more harmonious relationship. So I hold the energy of gratitude in that moment. And when I'm in when I'm in a space of gratitude, means I'm in a good space. I have a capacity to shift and change because I feel I can sense the gift that it offers in that moment. So that is shared some very insightful but yet simple methods. One, approach every scene with this attitude of there's some opportunity, that the drama of life is benevolent, it's a gift, that it's a test paper, and so it's come to show me how much I've studied and I've learned so that I can move forward. The other aspect is really that when others in relationships, it's an opportunity for me to see, what do I need to shift? What do I need to access and draw from now? How do I need to express my best self in this moment? And then thirdly, to create and cultivate this attitude of learning. Every moment offers a moment of growth, of learning, even in the most simplest things, not only in the difficult and challenging times, but even in the beauty. Let me start creating a practice of learning in every moment, and then see how I grow exponentially, I think, and always keeping that focus on self and what is it that I want to hold as an intention, as a focus, as a way forward. And before we end, just a lovely thing to remember, that drama is my mother that holds a very beautiful, benevolent, compassionate energy. And so can I tap into the benevolence of drama? So I'm going to stop there for now and just open it up to see if there's any questions or any comments, and perhaps if there's some experiences you might have had before we continue. So please do feel free to unmute, or if you feel more comfortable to put something in the chat, also do go ahead with that. Okay, maybe I should put forth a question. Do you think it's possible to approach life like this, especially in the difficult times? Is it possible, or is it too way out? Any thoughts? Sometimes we don't even give ourselves a chance, and only if we try can we see the benefit. I was chatting to someone yesterday, and he was just talking about how he's been exploring certain concepts in spirituality. And the thing he was highlighting was practice is essential, because if I want to shift certain patterns of behaviors, then I have to practice something different. And so it does start with a practice. So even if I, just for today, or even just in a relationship, maybe we can practice something. But before we go into a practice, Bianca saying, yes, be patient with drama. Yes, wonderful. It's true. Patience is such a wonderful, wonderful virtue, because it just provides that moment to stop and pause before I react. So thank you for that, Bianca. So I'm gonna maybe as a practice for today, we can all just think about maybe one situation that you might be finding challenging, little bit difficult to find meaning or seeing the light within that, or perhaps there's a relationship currently that is not so harmonious and easy. There's a bit of tension, even if it's just a little bit. Just bring that into your mind, in your focus, and using the principles that that is shared today. How is it that you can find the benefit? How is it that you can find the gift? What's the internal shift that you can create? But also, what's the virtue or the power that you can draw from yourself that will then support you in that? It's not necessarily that the situation will change or that person's going to be like all okay and they don't behave in the way they do. It's not about that, but it's about how can I make myself come to a place where I feel good within myself and not being influenced by the source of whatever's been triggered. Okay, so a lovely practice for the day. And then at the end of the day, or even while you're in the process of experiencing or exploring this, just see what's your inner space like. What are the kind of the thoughts and the feelings that it generates for you? And see the potential and possibilities in those moments. So if there isn't any questions or comments, anything further from anyone, let's end off with a short little meditation. So let's take a moment and reflect on some of the concepts that I've heard today. And I allow myself to feel the energy of benevolence that is always available and around me. That every scene in the drama of life holds the energy of compassion, of support, of allowing me to grow so that I can return to that place of stability, of peace, and of rest within myself. I allow this energy to settle into my mind, to seep into my consciousness, so that it becomes a living energy that facilitates movement and growth. And so as I move through my day today, let me hold one focus, keeping this energy very much alive and reminding myself of it. I look at every scene of the drama, every interaction with another, any unfolding of my own internal processes to be one that holds benevolence, compassion, and growth. Keeping my companion, the divine, the one that holds truth with me, provides me with the guidance and the clarity that will support me in seeing those moments of benevolence. For when I hold on to the hand of truth, I remain connected to my truth. My actions are inspired by this. And so let me see today, what are the gifts that drama, others, and God are offering me. Let me have the courage, the self-respect to accept those gifts with humility, with royalty, with a lot of love. For this is my journey to where I'd like to bring myself to. Om Shanti. So thank you very much for joining us today. Do have a lovely Friday and weekend, and enjoy the practice. Keep it going, and we will meet again on Monday. Take care and have a lovely, lovely day. Om Shanti.
Thank you, Sister Dipti, for your magnificent speech. Also, a very nice day. A good weekend for you.